Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of my interview with Kathaar. In this part, we're going to discuss in depth the planning and decision making behind how he chose the desert over all the regions, his biggest struggles on this account to date, and what he sees going to be a struggle in the future, as well as how he got into making videos. So join me as I head into the mind of Kathaar. So if we move towards your own YouTube, could you give me a little explanation and an introduction to everyone watching about your current series?
Oh my. So I have done the very original, very creative, never before seen thing of locking an Ironman account into a very specific region of the game. Brand new. I know you never heard of it before. I take all the credit. But what I've done is I decided to take a hardcore Ironman account and lock it strictly into the RuneScape 3 desert area. So Al-Kharid and south. That whole desert, if it's sand, it counts pretty much. With the goal of getting to and killing Telos at least once. When I get to that point, we'll see where we go from there. But the main point of the series is just have fun. I want to entertain. I have a perchance to entertain people. I really want to be an entertainer for people. That's kind of the goal. The account and the goals are kind of a backdrop for me to entertain people who decide they want to watch the series. And I hope I'm doing that. Only time will tell. But for the most part, that's really what's going on over at my channel. I have like a old school video where I got the fire cape, but for the most part, it's just the desert series. For now, I have plans for other content, other series.
Yep.
But I barely have enough time as it is to do this one, so those are gonna have to wait until I have more free time.
So, you've never killed Telos on your main, and the eventual aim is to kill Telos on a hardcore?
Yeah, I know. It sounds a little backwards. The plan is that I have enough time to actually, sit and try it out on my main account.
Mm-hmm.
And, first of all, get a kill with my best in slot gear. Cool. Once that's done, scale it back to something that my desert only would be able to use. So no overloads, no best in slot food, no best in slot gear. And just try to work it out, all while trying to figure out the mechanics. Because, Evil Lucario could kill it without armor or food at 4,000% in rage. I gotta be able to at least get a single kill on 0% in rage in, like, Mithril and Rune. Or Infinity Robes, or whatever it is that I end up bringing to that fight. It's gotta be possible.
I was going to say, you've always got the option of trying to get some stuff from God Wars 2, right?
Yes.
Well, because obviously you're going to have to kill one of each of the generals anyway.
Yeah, and so that is an option to like try and get the Dragon Rider Lance or Cyber Wand and Orb, or even going full out and getting a set of Anima Core. So that would make it a lot easier. It's a matter of if I'm willing to commit to that level of grind, and if it's necessary. Do I actually need it? We'll see. It might come to a point to where I try out Telos before that, and it just is a close call, or I end up burning an extra life or something. And go, yeah, that wasn't even close. I'm going to need to go for some of this higher gear first.
Yeah. So, what do you think the hardest skill that you're going to have to train to get to this end goal is, and what's it been so far?
Oh my god. Okay, well. Up until this point, it's been smithing. Getting smithing to 20 so that I can actually train smithing normally. Figure that out. Took forever. It took 2 months. That was a pain in the neck. But now it's not so bad. Now, my big concern is actually training dungeoneering, because there's no traditional way for me to train it until 50. And then I have shifting tombs which off the top of my head, I don't even remember how good the experience rates for Dungeoneering are in that place. And I have to get it to 75 from there. So that, I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, of course I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. It's going to make a lot of content of me getting very angry at stupid things. It's going to be a blast for those watching. I might lose my sanity a little bit, but when has that ever been a problem?
I can imagine summoning is going to be an interesting one as well.
Summoning is, yes. Currently, it's locked. It actually isn't. As soon as I got to 54 hunting, summoning was officially unlocked because Spirit Implings can drop summoning pouches, which was like the only thing I was missing. Obviously, certain summons are going to be a problem. Like I can't make a pack yak because I can't get the yak hide unless I get lucky and get it from those loot bags that you get once a day from the flying carpet merchants.
Yeah.
I think they drop some summoning ingredients. I don't remember which ones. Also, the Spirit Implings might drop yak hides, but in which case I have to get 99 summoning if I want to use one of them. And at that point, maybe just a War Tortoise will be fine, But yeah, summoning would be an issue, except for I have access to an obelisk. I have a limited access to pouches. Charms are always easy to get. You just got to kill the right things. And shards, I can get plenty of summoning shards from mining. So I'm not too terribly worried about summoning, and I'm also not too terribly sure how useful it's going to be anyway. But at 75 Dungeoneering, I get access to the Al-Kharid Mine dungeon, which has 5 guaranteed Impling spawns in it. That's a lot of Spirit Implings. So that should pump me up with a lot of summoning materials to make training summoning a lot easier. So hopefully it's not going to be a worse grind than Dungeoneering, but only time will tell.
Yeah, so how are you actually going to train Dungeoneering up to 50?
Well, currently it's the Jack of Trades aura, and the same thing that I did to get smithing to 20, which was the large experience lamps that you get from Anima Islands. I can get one of those every week. So between those two things, I can grind it up to 50. I mean, I've already got it, like, at the time of recording, I've got it at, like, 32.
Okay.
So, it's not bad.
Decent progress, yeah.
I'm getting there. Might see it next year.
So, which Region Locked series was it that you saw first that got you really inspired to do your own?
Well, considering I seem to like to reference him every once in a while, it's obviously settled Swampletic series. I did actually consider the Swamp first because we have another high-end solo boss out there. We have a Raxor. But he seemed a little too easy. And also, there was absolutely no smithing or mining whatsoever in the Swamp. It would have been completely locked. At least it was semi-plausible in the desert. Yeah. But that kind of leads into the main reason that I picked the desert, and that it wasn't too easy and it wasn't too hard. There's a lot of content out there. There isn't a single skill that I'm locked out of aside from invention. And the only reason I'm not locked out of invention is because I would have to continually go back to the invention workbench, which is in Falador. And I just didn't see that as viable. But I have access to everything out there. Oddly enough, any skill that I want, there is some way to train it. And I felt like that was a good balance because the Swamp is extremely limited in what you can do in RS3. It's not the case in Old School, but that's mainly because you can get armor, weapon, and ore and bar drops from monsters, and you can't in RS3. But the desert also, as anybody who watches my series has already noticed, it's not that easy either. There's a lot of limitations. There's a lot of workarounds. There's a lot of janky things I have to do to get by. And we're going to see all that come to a head by the time the series ends. And I guess that's kind of the goal, or that's really like the point of any Region Locked series, is that despite all these limitations, seeing it all come to a head, and in the end, was it fun and was it worth it? And I feel like the Swamp wasn't and the desert was.
And also, it's the prestige of Telos as well. Obviously, he is the most difficult boss. He's got that aura around him that, taking him down.
honestly, I probably would have stuck out the swamp if Telos wasn't in the desert, because that would leave my endgame content to God Wars Dungeon 2, maybe Calfight King, but I can't solo Calfight King because I can't get Bladed Dive, which is what you need to solo him. So he's out. That means, yeah, my endgame content is killing. Super exciting. No. So yeah, the fact that Telos is out here was a big selling point, because again, for settled series, the big selling point is that the Theater of Blood is out there, which is one of the biggest pieces of endgame content for old school. So it makes sense for him to want to lock himself out there. And so it was a similar premise. The hardest boss in the game, arguably, is sitting in the desert. So why not?
So why did you start with YouTube initially? Because had you done a series and stuff before the Desert Ironman?
Yeah, there's a completely unrelated to RuneScape series on my YouTube that is currently hidden and will remain hidden until I actually hit 500 subscribers. I told everybody, if I hit 500, I will re-release these videos. They are ridiculous. They're just to get everybody excited for this juicy content. They're recorded with a pair of Skull Candy headphones with the little built-in wire mic.
Yep.
And on a laptop with the little built-in webcam. And it's a Let's Play series of Legacy of Kain's Soul Reaver, which is an old PlayStation 1 game that I'm a really huge fan of. And I rewatched a couple of episodes, and oh God, I told people I'd do this, but it's gonna hurt. It is gonna hurt.
The cringe levels.
Oh my God, it's so bad. So I was really inspired by Markiplier to do this. I was watching a lot of Markiplier at the time, and I was like, I could do this. I could do this. I should have waited until I could afford some better equipment. As I was recording this in my garage, okay? Like, you can see the ding, the garage, the automatic garage pulling thing in the background behind my head. It was, and no editing whatsoever. None. I just recorded straight and trimmed off the beginning and end in YouTube's little built-in proprietary editor, and published it and sent it out, and that was that. And I managed to get 8 whole subscribers from it.
Big leagues.
I had eight people who said, you know what? This is quality content. I want more of this. And so, yeah, if I hit 500, I'll re-release those. But that is where I started. And so because I had already done it 4 years ago, I decided YouTube's the way to go. I wanted a controlled environment to work in. I didn't want to work in a live environment like Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't sure how this was going to go at all. And so I feel like taking the time to actually be able to edit and put together things and cut out the slowness, because you can plan all day, but as soon as you hit record that first episode, man, you don't know what you're doing. All of a sudden, or at least for me anyway, I don't know, you could be a total professional at this, but for me at least, as soon as I hit that record button, it was like, oh God, here I am. What am I going to do? And so doing that in a live environment is suicide. But in a controlled environment, you can sit there, okay, let me re-record this opening a couple of times here until I've got it right, and I can edit around it and make it look clean. And I mean, I still botched it on episode 1 anyway. There's a lot of times where I just stop talking for a really long time like that. And it's like, why did I leave that in there? Why did I not edit that out? What is wrong with me? But, you know, it's already there.
It's all part of the learning process as well, because no one is like bored knowing exactly how to edit everything perfectly. And that's probably partly why, you know, when you look back at your really old stuff, you can see how far you've come with it, I guess.
Exactly. That's what I keep trying to tell myself. It's like, it doesn't matter. Episode 13 is way better than episode 1. Episode 1's league's better than the stuff I did 4 years ago. Everything's progress. I'm moving forward. Things are getting better and better and better, and I'm not stagnating. And that's what I just need to remind myself, because every time, it's really weird. Every time I start recording, I get about halfway through recording an episode, and the same thing hits. That same feeling of, is this worth it? Is this a good idea? Should I be doing this? Do people care? Like, what if I stagnate? And then, and then by the time I publish the episode, that feeling's gone and I'm elated and I'm excited to jump into the next one. But that self-doubt always hits right around the same point and it's frustrating, but you just got to keep pushing forward.
So, what software do you use? What's your editing software of choice and recording as well?
I'm gonna get so much flaming for this, I'm sure. So I use XSplit Gamecaster to record my gameplay.
Okay.
It's what I used the first time 4 years ago, and it works. It records the footage. It records it at whatever video quality I want it at, and it gets the job done. And then for editing, this is everybody I lose everybody because they all talk about like OBS, or if you're really crazy, you're using like Adobe Premiere and stuff like that. I'm using something called VSDC, a free video editor.
Now that
I literally Googled free video editors and this sucker popped up and I've been using it ever since.
I believe that's actually the same one that Galaxy Shark said he was using as well. So you're not alone.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. I don't know why. I applaud Galaxy Shark if he's the one using it. If he's using it too, or they're using, if they're using it too, then awesome. But if I went and bought like what just happened?
I think your screen turned off because you haven't touched your mouse yet.
Oh god, what does it look like on your end? Did that kill?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, okay. God. No, I went and paid for the premium because it starts to really lag and chug as you're editing, as you get more clips in there. And God forbid you want to preview a clip. Oh no, every single cut, it'll lock itself up. And so you have to like pause and unpause between every clip so that you could play them smoothly, or just export the whole video and watch it and hope nothing went wrong. But outside of that, I like it. They just updated it today, which was kind of cool. And they added some new features that I may or may not dabble with as soon as I can figure out how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's better video editors out there, but I'm afraid of change. It's more so I finally figured it out. And I don't want to have to relearn everything.
Yeah, like everyone sort of likes to learn their own hotkeys and everything like that when they're editing and knows exactly what to do for this transition, this stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
I definitely get the feeling of not wanting to change. So it's going to suck for me when my Adobe student thing runs out because I've got so used to Premiere. So I'm going to be like, oh no. Do I pay £40 a month? Oh no, I don't. So I'm not.
I was just about to ask you what yours was, but that answers that question.
Yeah, no, at college I studied like media production and we used it there. So since then I got it and kept going because I'd learned it there. So
yeah, I can't even figure my way around Photoshop.
It just takes time. Like they all take so much time to sort of learn, and then at some point you realize, hang on, I'm getting quicker at this. It's all working.
Yeah.
Like I recently started to have a little play in After Effects, which is really weird because it's 3D layers. So not just Photoshop where you've got like 2D layers, you've got actual depth to deal with and lighting and
oh no, hard pass. Thank you. I'm sure. I mean, we've all seen what. Oh no. Oh. Little Smokey for old school RuneScape. We've all seen what he's managed to pull off in After Effects, and it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But count me out, dude. I can't do that.
So, what would you say the biggest challenge for you of making your videos are?
It's kind of, it's weird. So like I said that I want to record in a controlled environment, but I record almost like it's live. I don't like a lot of people between, like, let's say if they're doing like a RuneScape series between episode 1 and episode 2, they've probably done a bunch of things. And so they'll start episode 2 out and letting you know, hey, so we've gotten these levels and we've done this and that and the other thing. I don't do that. The only time I'm playing the account is when I'm recording. Like, I literally don't touch it at all when I'm not recording. The only things I will do is get on to do the grab the loot bag from the traders, and I just open it and then bank the item and log off. And so one of the weirdest challenges is setting myself up so that an episode feels like an episode. There is a goal to achieve for this episode. And so I kind of walk in going, okay, I need to figure out, I already know where I'm going to begin because I'm going to begin exactly where I left off, but where the heck am I going to end this? Like what feels like a good cutoff point that doesn't leave me with an hour-long episode? And because I did that once, one of my episodes is like 40 minutes and it's just ridiculous.
That is tricky.
But,
yeah.
And for some things, like for this format, that works. For doing what I'm doing, people tune out. They don't care. They don't want to see me leveling a skill 30 times in 40 minutes. But it's kind of finding that balance of just where I gotta make this feel like a concise episode. And so sometimes it really works. Like if I have a quest to do, perfect. Get the levels for the quest, do the quest, episode over, awesome. It feels clean, it feels concise, it feels like an episode. And then other times it's like, I just watched this guy grind Hunter for 18 minutes and that was it. What? So that's the biggest challenge, is making it feel like an episode and not all over the place.
Trying to actually have a narrative to each one.
Yeah, exactly. Just and having concise goals, because it's really easy to lose your audience. I've had people come up to me, like there was a stint. There was like two episodes. I think it was like episode 8 and 9 or something like that, where there wasn't a whole lot of interest going on. It was mainly just grinding out levels, and I was all over the place. It would be like a cut in Narda doing something, and then the next cut I was in Menopause, doing something completely unrelated. And people were like, yeah, your episodes kind of seem like they're all over the place. You got to rein it in. And so now I really try to think about it like, I got to rein it in. And I mean, those grinding episodes are going to happen where it's like, I need to sit this out until I get 5400. That was like the most recent one. And it's just a matter of making that feel episodic too. And I hope I tackle that better in the future. We'll see.
It's try to keep it entertaining.
Exactly. So easy to lose people.
So how much like research and stuff did you do before deciding on the desert one? Like, what was the process?
I mean, I probably should have done more, but I want to say I did a lot. I have way too much free time at work. Bosses, if you're watching this, that does not mean I'm not doing my work. I promise. But I have a lot of free time. And so I've been thinking about a series like this for months before the first episode came out. And it was just a matter of like, oh, well, I'm not really in the position to do it right now. I kind of want to like get like a studio set up. Yeah, I had really high expectations for myself. And so I just kind of kept putting it off. But the whole time I was looking everything up. So I was constantly on the RuneScape wiki looking at drop tables, looking at what quests I could and couldn't complete, what kind of exceptions the account would need to function. So like, very early on, I had to leave the desert a few times. Otherwise, I wouldn't have access to Menopause and like a dozen quests. And so it was a lot of researching that. But the big one, and this is when I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this, is when I figured out that mining and smithing was actually possible. Because, with the mining and smithing rework, they took the copper, tin, and iron, and mithril and adamant. They took all that out of the Al-Kharid mine and replaced it with gem rocks. So you want to get bronze in the desert? Good luck. There's only one place to get copper and tin, and you need 20 smithing to even start the quest. So it was, to even start the quest. In old school, you can start the quest with level 1 smithing. You'll just get stuck when you have to make the bronze dart, because that's what requires 20 smithing, I presume. But RuneScape 3 at a certain period of time changed it so that you can't even start a quest unless you have the stat requirements. So it's a hard lock versus a soft lock. So I couldn't even get into the dang camp. And I was like, okay, well, I made a new account and gave it I threw it a bond, gave it membership for 14 days, and I went to the desert to see if I could find a way into the camp without starting the quest, and there was no way. And then I discovered the large experience lamp from Anima Islands and discovered that you could actually spend that on smithing. And I went, there we go. That's how I'm going to do it. And
it's quite
then
nice
I decided,
as
you know what?
well, because that gives you a get out of jail free card for any other skill that you had like a minimum level.
Exactly. It was okay. You know what? It's got a 1 week timer, but that adds a level of challenge. It doesn't make it too easy. So that's what I'm going to do. I mean, because like old school, they have a similar thing. They have random events. So you wait for genies and dunces. But we don't have that. So the Anima Islands was a nice fix for that. And so at that point, I decided, okay, you know what? We're doing this. And then I recorded the first episode. It was a train wreck and people liked it anyway. And there we are.
So have you got a favourite moment of the series so far?
Getting 20 smithing. Finally having 20 smithing. It felt like, because every episode up until that point, I was spending an hour and 40 minutes every week playing this stupid minigame. And like, sure, the experience is great, but by God, it's tedious, and you're sinking an hour and 40 minutes into it. Each round is 20 minutes, and you have to do it 5 times. And so that's tedious. So I was super excited to not have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I've done it. I have done 1 set of 5 rounds to get Tuska's Wrath, and that is it. I've never gone back there.
I really don't blame you, man. I don't blame you at all. And I'm gonna have to go back there. I had to go back there to grind Hunter. I don't remember what level it was. Oh, no, I forget. It was like 47 or something to hunt those salamanders. Maybe it was 37. I already forgot. That wasn't even that long ago. But I'm gonna have to keep going back there. It's gonna be a recurring thing. It's gonna like settled and gargoyles, man. It's just a place I'm gonna have to keep going back to. And yeah, I don't. So getting 20 smithing was like I'm free moment. I could go do other things. I was super excited. I was like, I'm gonna make myself pickaxes. I'm gonna make an ore box. I'm gonna have armor. It's gonna be so cool. And so I'm still kind of riding that high. So yeah, I gotta say that was the best moment. Finally getting 20 smithing was just, for now, the best thing. We'll see in the future. It might be something else.
All right, I've covered everything that I had to cover. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add or pop on, or any shout outs you'd like to make.
If you haven't subscribed to this guy, subscribe already. What are you doing?
Thank you very much.
Oh man. I mean, in terms of not really, like, anybody I'd have to like shout out has like 3 times more subscribers than me anyway, so they don't need. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you having me on. And keep doing what you're doing, man. I love this series. It's always fun getting a new interview with a person I didn't know anything about.
That's what I hope for. I hope for people to discover new people through this, because there's so many creators out there, and a lot of the time, especially with RS3, it does get limited to those sort of few top people.
And that's another thing. What you're doing is something that nobody else is doing. So, like, look up RuneScape 3 videos, and most of what everybody's doing are progress series. Whether it's a Mainscape or an Ironman, it's usually just a run-of-the-mill progress series. Nothing unique about it, and there's nothing bad about that. People obviously like watching the content, but it's that and guides. What's the best money-making guide? What's the best killing? I mean, Mikaru has a new random niche money-making guide or experience-gaining guide like every other week.
It's insane how much stuff he puts out. I've yet to approach him for an interview, but he will definitely.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I will definitely try in the future, because yeah. But to circle back a little bit, what you do is completely unique. Nobody else is doing this. I don't even think anybody's doing this in old school either. Like,
They're just not doing it, period. And I applaud it. It's interesting, unique, different content. And that's what I like to look for. That's kind of why I did what I did, because RuneScape 3 doesn't really have any region locked Ironman series going along. I mean, there were a couple. I'm not the only desert only Ironman out. I'm just the only one that's still making videos. So yeah, I applaud the creativity and the fact that this is something totally unique, totally different, because RuneScape 3 needs more of this. And old school has plenty of it. You got people doing all kinds of weird, unique things. Let's make an Iron Man that has this very strict subset of rules attached. And RS3 doesn't have anything like that.
Or it does, but no one knows about it. That's the thing. I think it does. I think there are a lot of like little niche communities and stuff that people don't realize are going on. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this one that's Taskman. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually in their Discord. I would love to I would love to start a Taskman, but again, no free time. Yeah, no, exactly. It's stuff like that. And of course, like there's a couple of them in that group who are making YouTube series, but they don't get any traction. Nobody sees them. Nobody knows they're there. And it's bringing content creators like that up into the forefront, saying, hey, look, if you want something that's a little different from what you normally see, go check this person out. It's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for that ending 3 or 4 minutes of praise. It was well.
I told you I could talk a lot.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, spending your afternoon with me. It's been good fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I will see everyone next week for... I'm not actually sure who's on next week. I should probably get around to organising that.
Oh. Everybody likes a surprise.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, yes, thank you for having me, and I hope... And to all of those of you watching, have a good day.